Here are the guys to target on your waiver wire for week 2. One has got to be Bucky Irving. I don't care what anybody says. 6-7 carries for like 66 yards. Completely was efficient. And Rachaad White, what was he, 12 for 22? This is going to be Bucky Irving's backfield very soon. And it could happen as soon as next week. Yes, Rachaad White is still a good pass catcher. So is Bucky. Rachaad White got most of his fantasy points last week in the receiving game. He's catching passes, right? I think Bucky is going to pace this backfield within the next few weeks. He has to be number 1 over Isaiah Likely, in my personal opinion. 2 is Isaiah Likely, and the reason why he's 2 is because, think about it, everybody, if you're using a free agent budget, or even if they're ahead of you on the waiver wire, right, like on the claim list, they're going to be gunning for him. And Mark Andrews is still going to have a substantial role. Like maybe they split more than we thought, which I think is given. Likely is a stud. That's why I want Bucky Irving number 1, because we're playing the long game here, and Bucky's going to pace this backfield within a few weeks, and everybody's going to be gunning for Likely. So that's why you could get Bucky Irving, right? So Likely's still number 2 on my list, though.
3 is always going to be Jordan Mason. I don't care what anybody says. Regardless of what happens tonight, he's the best handcuff in the game. McCaffrey's already dealing with that calf injury. Regardless of how he plays tonight, if he gets 50 fantasy points, we still want Jordan Mason as that handcuff. This one might shock people, but if he's somehow available now in most competitive leagues, he's not. A.D. Mitchell at 4. Why? 1.2 fantasy points. Alec Pierce went crazy. Everyone's going for Alec Pierce. That was one big play. A.D. Mitchell actually, A-Rich was looking for him. He got the most targets on the team in the deep balls. Pierce just caught the one that Anthony Richardson threw to him, right? Like he threw it over A.D. Mitchell's head like twice. I think Mitchell's going to emerge as that guy that A-Rich is going to be like, that's my favorite target. And I think it's going to happen within a few weeks. So if he's somehow there, I'd pick him up. 5 has to be Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, 12 targets is ridiculous. I know Daniel Jones sucks, but Malik Neighbors was serviceable enough, 12 fantasy points, whatever. Wan'Dale had, 12 as well? 12 fantasy points, like something like that. He had 12 targets. Daniel Jones is only going to be looking for Wan'Dale and Neighbors, and they're going to be playing every single game behind. So these guys are great to have. 6 on my list would be Tyler Johnson. I think Tyler Johnson is a better receiver than Demarcus Robinson. Everyone's going to be like, Demarcus Robinson? I think Jordan Whittington will be the guy in a few weeks, but Sean McVay obviously doesn't trust him enough yet. Tyler Johnson looked very good in the time he had. If Puka Nacua, misses substantial time, I would definitely, think about using a waiver claim on him. 0% rostered. Although I'm not too high on Tank Bigsby, it's still Etienne's job. I mean, Etienne would have had 25 fantasy points if he didn't fumble that ball. He would have had 2 touchdowns, right? Instead he leaves with 12. Etienne, I think, is still their guy. Bigsby may get a little more touches this season. But Bigsby had one big run. Let's be real. He couldn't do anything last year. I don't think he's going to be that serviceable, but you could always use him, especially if you have Etienne as a handcuff. Finally, Jalen McMillan. I know that Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are there, but McMillan looked really good when he finally got some targets. I would stash him, keep an eye on him. Only rostered in 3.1% of leagues. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you follow for more content like this.